Members, we're going to move on to file item 54, Senator Lara. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 247 by Senator Lara, an act relating to transportation safety.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Madam President and members. SB 247 is long overdue, an update to the safety regulations that govern charter buses. Last year, many of you remembered, a group of college-bound high school students on their way to tour Humboldt State University via charter bus were struck by a FedEx truck that crossed the median. Tragically, 10 people were killed in this accident. Afterwards, the National Transportation Safety Board investigated the accident and found the high number of deaths were in large part due to inadequate safety procedures and exit systems, and issued a series of recommendations to improve passenger safety. SB 247 will implement NTSB's recommendations, which include bus drivers must give a safety briefing highlighting the vehicle's emergency exits and emergency procedures. The report and the survivors reported confusion after the crash and could not find the emergency exits in the bus. Buses will be also required to be equipped with burn-resistant materials. According to the report, the bus burned very quickly and was engulfed in flames within minutes. Emergency lighting fixtures, luminescent and retroflective emergency signage. NTSB report found that passengers were unable to see and struggled to find the exits. An event recorder data, an event data recorder. Windows that can be easily opened and remain open in the event of evacuation. As the passengers were trying to evacuate, the windows, which weigh over 60 pounds, had no mechanism to keep open and would slam shut after each person exited. And all new buses must be equipped with a second door. The majority of passengers in this tragic accident were 16 to 24-year-old members in prime physical condition. Had the passengers been small children, elderly, or people with disabilities, there would have been many more deaths. Most of the NTSB's recommendations were made prior to this accident, but have not been implemented for years and for some decades now. Repeatedly, the NTSB has found that the components laid out in the bill would have saved lives in this accident. Other high occupancy vehicles like trains, limousines, and planes have far more stringent safety standards than buses. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, nationally there are 8,000 passenger injuries and fatalities a year. SB 247 would close the gap in safety standards between buses and other modes of transportation. Most of the deaths in the accident were due to asphyxiation because passengers weren't able to quickly exit. If these provisions had been in effect, many more people would have survived the accident. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on this important bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Members, under discussion and debate, Senator Hueso.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of the bill. This bill came through our committee, and we reviewed this bill under the provisions of energy, transportation, utilities and communications, the part that dealt with the PUC, of course, and the regulation of transportation. Again, this calls attention to the need for our state to enact safety measures in all areas of transportation where transportation are provided to Californians, and I hope that as people support additional safety measures that they do so across all areas of transportation, not only the charter bus areas. We had a hearing on this issue, and there were many concerns raised by the industry. There were some that were quite valid, and the author expressed an interest to work with the industry. I think those are outstanding issues because of the timing of this process and because of the timing of the bill's introduction, I think it's important that the author be allowed to work with the industry and to work out some of the details of this bill. I have a strong confidence that the author will be able to work with the industry. They're sitting at his table. They're all sitting together talking about how this bill could be improved and ensuring that this bill could indeed, in fact, be put into implementation. So with that, I rise in support and encourage the author to continue to work with the industry and continue and encourage the industry to work with the author to iron out all the details. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hueso. Senator Morlock?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry I didn't attend the committee meeting, but it does concern me that you have a bill that is California applicable, but not for the rest of the country. It seems like it would be a federal issue. So I'm sure it was raised, but I'm just curious, when a out-of-state bus comes into California and doesn't meet the requirements, I apologize, I couldn't find that answer in my reading material. So if I may have the privilege of asking the author what the exception or
Question of the author?
Absolutely. Madam President, should this bill become law, all buses that operate in California must adhere to these new requirements, whether they're based in other states or not.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Morlock?
Thank you. I'm opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Bell?
Madam President and members, we had a tragic incident in San Jose just a few weeks ago where 2 people were killed, and we think about 15 total people were injured in a bus accident on Highway 101 in San Jose. The results of the traffic safety investigation by the federal government had not been concluded, but I think it draws attention to the extreme need for California to start working and recognizing that we need to have a higher degree of standard for truck safety. And I'd like to point out that a lot of these standards were actually recommended by safety experts to the federal government, but the federal government did not adopt these standards. And Senator Lara's bill actually flows with the recommendations that were made that were not adopted by the federal government. If we have those standards adopted in California, we're going to have less deaths and injuries in our state. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Bell. Senator Lara, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam President.
Excuse me. Oh, I apologize. Senator Gaines.
Great. Thank you, Madam President. I rise because I'm still concerned about the overall cost of initiating the upgrades to buses. And I laid off this in committee, and my hope is that Senator Lara would work with the industry. But I've got to tell you, at least for my local operator, the cost is $2.2 million. And I do believe there is an opportunity to take a look at safety upgrades that are not as expensive. That would be helpful for the industry. And so at this point, I'm gonna lay off. I would ask that Senator Lara continue to work with the charter and bus manufacturers, and I appreciate his willingness to do so to date. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. Senator Anderson? Question of the author? Question of the author?
You addressed buses coming from out of state, but how about buses coming from across our borders, either from the north or from the south? Would they also, would that be acceptable under NAFTA rules?
Senator?
Madam President, I'm not an expert in NAFTA, but again, any bus that's operating in California would have to adhere to these new regulations should this bill become law.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Anderson?
On my own time, I think everything we can do to protect people's lives makes perfectly good sense. I haven't had a chance to look through the implications of NAFTA. Under NAFTA, trucks coming up from the border or coming down from the border do not have to meet any of our regulations on either safety, like in brakes, or they don't have to meet any of our carbon emissions issues. They're allowed to work within their own country's rules when they cross that border. So I'm concerned that in a community that's close to the border, that perhaps it would be an unfair advantage to those companies, and it would not protect those people that are riding on it. So at this point, I'm not going to be able to support the bill, but I hope to support it after I get to understand these issues, and I'm sure that the good senator is going to address all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Anderson. Senator Bates?
Thank you, Madam President and members. I think Senator Lara is moving in exactly the right direction with this. implementing federal regulations or federal recommendations that have been on the books for a while and not implemented is a serious concern here in California with what we have seen in terms of the terrific accidents. However, I did ask Senator Lara in committee to continue to work with the industry. I think the problem here is really the implementation date and the cost that is putting on the industry, and I'm going to ask him again that he continues to work on that. Today I will lay off, but I'm very supportive of what he has raised and the direction he's been taking, and I think there's time to continue to work on the cost issue that's really related to the implementation. Phasing would probably work a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bates. Senator Lara, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I also appreciate the debate and discussion. And again, just to reiterate, we're talking about buses. We're not talking about trucks. In the issue of costs, members, I just got a cost estimate this morning at 8:44 a.m. So it hasn't given us a chance to analyze this. I am in, the goal of this bill is to actually get this bill implemented. I know we will continue to further discuss with the bus industry in terms of the implementation date and some of the cost. But to be fair, I've just got this at 8:44 this morning. And to be honest, we've been trying to work with the Charter Bus Association. However, they haven't been willing to negotiate till today. I just got this letter. The amendments that they've proposed would have got the bill entirely. And again, I recommit myself to working with the industry to refine the bill to protect passengers and to limit the cost of bus operators. And I do appreciate the concern about the federal government. Members, as my good friend, Senator from San Jose stated, these recommendations have been recommended by the NTSB since before this accident. And again, we're in the California State Senate where we lead, and we lead the nation. And it's time for us to once again show the federal government that we actually can implement this law, save lives. I do appreciate the concerns about cost, but what about the cost of the victims, the cost of the families that no longer get to see these children live to their fullest potential? I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Lara. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Cannella. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Galgiani. Glazer. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wessel. Aye. Huff. Jackson. Aye. Lutta. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leba.
Aye.
Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Monty. Morlock. No. Morrell. Wynn. Nilsson. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Stone. Vidak. No. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. No. Bates. Berryhill. Cannella. Fuller. Gaines. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Huff. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morrell. No. Wynn. Nilsson. Runner. Stone.
Ayes 26, noes 4, measure passes. Members, we are moving on to item 55. Senator Roth, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 22 by Senator Roth, enacting to health care and making an appropriation therefore.
Senator Roth.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, as you know, millions of Californians have received health insurance since the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, they say including over 4 million new Medi-Cal enrollees. While Californians are certainly benefiting from this increase in coverage, the consequence is that California will soon face a dire physician shortfall if we are not there already. Current estimates say we need at least 8,000 more primary care physicians statewide by 2030 to simply maintain our current service levels. The real need is significantly greater, as only 16 out of California's 58 counties meet the recommended 60 to 80 primary care physicians per 100,000 residents. This distribution of physicians throughout the state is overwhelmingly urban and does not adequately serve the needs of millions of people in the traditionally poor and rural counties who are now gaining access to health care coverage. This is a problem that unfortunately demands state action. As you know, you need to complete a residency program generally in order to practice medicine. And while Medicare pays for the majority of medical residency positions nationwide, the number of residency positions throughout the nation has been capped and frozen since 1997, and the allocation throughout the nation does not benefit the underserved areas of the nation or of California. Senate Bill 22, as amended, will create a public-private partnership to fund additional primary care residency positions throughout the state using an existing 501c3 organization, the Health Professions Education Foundation, to collect contributions from industry and others toward the creation of these new medical residencies. This funding would then be eligible to receive state matching funds, depending, of course, on an annual budget allocation. The residency positions, once funded, will be allocated geographically within the medically underserved areas and primary care shortage areas in our state. This will ensure that these new positions go to serve the neediest Californians. And further, since we know that doctors tend to stay and practice where they complete their residency programs, Senate Bill 22 will create a lasting effect on improving access to health care in underserved areas in this state. Senate Bill 22 has had no votes and no opposition, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I'd like to stand in support of this measure. I'd like to also commend Senator Roth for the work that he's put into this. As you know, the Imperial Valley, or the Inland Empire, that shall I say, has a huge shortage of primary care physicians. And the way the system is set up now, that they're mainly hospital-based and they have a tendency to stay in those areas, the federal government is spending less money on residency programs, and we need to make sure that we get primary care physicians to go into the areas that have the greatest need. In his community, communities of color, the rural communities are definitely the ones that have it. This would definitely benefit, but more importantly, it would provide access, so I am here in support of the measure.
Thank you, Senator Hernandez. Senator Gaines.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I wanted to support the good senator from Riverside. I also have real issues in my district. I represent parts or all of 11 counties in northeastern California, many rural parts that have struggled to get a doctor within their community, and recently visited the El Dorado Community Medical Center, and they voiced that to me just a couple of weeks ago. So I want to support the legislation and thank the good senator for bringing that forward.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. Any further? Yes, Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, wish to express my support for this bill. As a former residency director who is responsible for the training of primary care physicians, pediatricians, I know how important this bill can be to trying to help build our primary care workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pan. Senator Roth, would you like to close? Thank you, Senator Roth. I think his mic was off, so he is respectfully asking for an aye vote. Members, is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Hearing none, ayes 39, noes 0. Thank you. We are now moving on to privileges of the floor. Do we have any privileges of the floor? Senator Lara.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, allow me to introduce you to Natalie Reyes, is the U.S. National Public Relations Director of Grupo Salinas, a Mexican conglomerate with $6 billion in annual sales in the United States and 90,000 employees in Mexico, the United States, Central and South America. Natalie is the Executive Director of Grupo Salinas' philanthropic arm in the United States, Fundación Azteca America, that seeks to improve the quality of life of Latinos by partnering with existing nonprofits to empower, create awareness, and motivate change on social and civic issues. Natalie was appointed by the President of the United States to serve on the Board of Trustees of the Woodrow Wilson Center for International Scholars, as well as on the Board of Directors of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, Voto Latino, Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute, and the Hispanic Federation. Natalie was recognized by the Huffington Post Best 40 Under 40, Latinos in Public Policy 2015, is a recipient of the UCLA Masters in Public Policy Alumna of the Year 2014, Santa Monica College Distinguished Alumni Recognition Award for Outstanding Professional and Community Service Achievement, and Mujeres Destacadas Award of recognition given to annually by El Diario La Prensa to the most outstanding women in our community. Please join me in welcoming Natalie to the California Senate.
Thank you, Senator Lara. Natalie, welcome to the Senate floor. Members, we are going to return to motions and resolutions. This would be the time to do an adjourn in memory, if you feel so inclined. Senator Stone, for what purpose do you rise?
Adjournment memory, Madam Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of a very special lady. Reggie Brzezinski Lambert, 64, of Temecula, died on November 29, 2015. Reggie was born on May 31, 1951 in Fremont, Ohio, the daughter of Dorothy and Leonard Brzezinski. Having children of the same age in the Temecula Valley, I saw her unselfish desire to support our children become good and productive citizens. She was a 1969 graduate of Fremont State Joseph Catholic High School, and she was the principal of R.B. Lambert Insurance, Inc. She was an avid supporter of the arts and numerous charities and took great pride in her beautiful garden. Reggie was also very proud of her family, is survived by her son, James Michael Lambert, along with her brothers, Dennis, Rob, TJ, and her sister, Susie Brzezinski, and her beloved Mochi. She was a wonderful aunt to her nieces, Erin, Noel, Beth, Gambaro, Brittany, Adam, Samantha, and Paige Brzezinski, her nephews, Brandon and Bo Brzezinski, Leslie Adams, and Dustin Hasselbach. She's preceded in death by her parents, Dorothy and Leonard, and her loyal companion, Buster. Reggie had a true enthusiasm for life. She had an immense capacity to love and a generous, selfless desire to help other people that knew no bounds. Our lives were immensely better and enriched for having her in our lives. I appreciate the adjourned in memory of Reggie Lambert.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Please bring the information forward so that we can properly memorialize and send our condolences to the family. Members, any other motions and resolutions or adjourn in memories? Senator Bell.
For purpose of announcements,
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members, the Senate Mental Health Caucus at noon today will have a luncheon in the Maddie Lounge, and we're going to discuss mental health issues for 2016. All members are invited to come to the meeting from 12 to 1:30, and lunch will be served.
Thank you, Senator Bell. If there is no other business, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear. Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we will reconvene tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Members, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30 p.m., at which time the adjournment motion will be made, and we will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m. Have a wonderful day, everyone.